I'm Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, and this is What the Heck, the podcast that dives into what the heck is going on in the world of health and well-being, explores how to optimize your mindset and your lifestyle, and shares practical tools so that you can achieve your fullest potential. Join me and a special guest each week as we discuss everything from biohacking to diet personalization to cutting-edge detox methods to setting and staying accountable to your goals. Ready to find out what the heck you can do to stay healthy, sharp, and at the top of your game? Let's get started. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp and welcome to this episode of the What the Heck podcast. Today, what I'd like to do is discuss thyroid health. This is something that I see so often in the office, people having questions. So I thought I would, talk about thyroid health. What is our thyroid? What is the purpose of our thyroid? But before I start, I'm going to go over symptoms of, hypo and hyper and so forth. But please don't try to self-diagnose yourself here. Make sure that you consult your healthcare practitioners before you start, going in the wrong direction and implementing some strategy. So this podcast is really meant to create awareness, to see if your thyroid gland is functioning optimally, but do please reach out to your natural healthcare practitioner or your regular healthcare practitioner before you start digging into strategies, because the thyroid is such a small, all the body parts are important, but it's a small, really small, important gland. So where is a thyroid gland? So first of all, it is in the front of our neck, and the thyroid gland truly is responsible to produce hormones that are essential for the development and the function of our cells. They basically regulate our fat, our protein, our carbohydrate metabolism. So they really affect cell energy. So a lot of time people have symptom, low energy and fatigue. So the thyroid gland really needs to be looked at. So I'm going to put a little bit of a graphic here. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I just want to go over a few key points of what is going on when it comes to the thyroid gland. So first of all, and if I look to if I look to the right and to the left, I've got my iPad here so I can look at the comments that people are making. So please go ahead and make some comments so I can answer back. So let's start with the first component with the thyroid gland. The messages are being received from our hypothalamus down to our pituitary gland, and then it's activating the production of our thyroid hormone. So there is T4, which is the first that will get converted in the active form, which is T3, and this is going to be done in the liver. Now, there's a multitude of factors that can affect our thyroid function. So production of T4 on its own, it can be impacted by high stress, by infection. A lot of time people have low-grade infection that are not aware of. It can be trauma, it could be radiation, it can be medication. Also fluoride, which is an antagonist to iodine, which we'll talk a little bit further down. Also toxin, and again, I'll talk about that because I want to give our viewers and listeners 3 hacks that they can do to really make sure that they're keeping their thyroid gland healthy. So all those toxins, pesticide, mercury, autoimmune diseases also can affect the production of T4. And then the production or the conversion, I should say, of T4 to T3, then we're looking at nutrients like iron, iodine itself, tyrosine, zinc, selenium, vitamin E, B2, and B3. And then the conversion of T3 to the cell, we're looking at selenium and zinc that are very important as well. So you can see this small little gland has effect in a lot of places because it has target tissues in the liver, in the kidney, in the brain, in the heart, and in the muscles as well. So it really is, I would say, a gland that orchestrates so many metabolic functions. So we have to really take care of it. So what are the symptoms of hypothyroidism? So as I mentioned earlier, fatigue is usually a big one. Weight gain, feeling really cold, dry hair and skin. This is one that I get very often, as a symptom from my patient. Hair loss is huge as well. Menstrual irregularities, edema, muscle ache, joint pain, and constipation and depression as well. A lot of people have a lot of these symptoms, and like I said, it doesn't mean because you have some of these symptoms that you should self-diagnose yourself with hypothyroidism. So again, consult a healthcare practitioner to make sure. But these are some of the symptoms of your thyroid gland not working optimally. When it comes to hyper, it's kind of the reverse aspect. So symptoms are nervousness, irritability, increase resting heart rate, which will cause heart palpitation, heat intolerance, increased sweating, can even have tremor, weight loss and increase in appetite, frequent bowel movement, thyroid enlargement causing, lump in the neck. So the person will feel a mass in their neck. So you can see that the symptoms are almost opposite, and it's really important to get a proper diagnosis because, like I said, this small little gland is so important for so many things. So there are laboratory tests that can be done. Again, different country, different states, different provinces will have basic tests for the thyroid gland. But if your general practitioner is not suspecting any issues and you're not reporting any symptoms, most of the time they will test for the TSH, and that gives them a good idea of where you range. Now, there is a difference between lab range and functional range, so numbers will be a little bit different, but I think most natural health practitioners agree that a TSH under 2 is what we want to have. And then if a person presents with some of the symptoms that we're talking about, it is valuable to check for the T4, T3, because you want to make sure that it's being produced, but that it is also being converted. I didn't get into the detail with the reverse T3, but this is something that can be tested as well. And measuring some of the ratio of the total T3 versus the reverse T3 as well. And thyroid antibodies are very important as well, especially if hypo is suspected for a diagnosis of Hashimoto, autoimmune disease, TPO antibodies and anti-TG antibodies as well. So again, to dig deeper to see if you have issues, you really need to consult your natural or your regular health practitioner to start digging a little bit deeper. But like I said, most of the time in our routine blood tests, and again, it depends of your country, it depends of your province and state, because it's going to be different for every healthcare system or every doctors, I'm guessing. TSH is what is being measured, and then other things can be tested as well. Other blood tests are important: iron, zinc, selenium, vitamin D, and iodine can be measured, as well as bromine, because bromine is also said to compete with iodine. So you can see how it can lead to be a problem. Cadmium can also be tested because it can impair the conversion of T4 to T3. Celiac panel, which goes back to our gut and how it is important for proper absorption of all those nutrients we're talking about. Toxic minerals as well, and IgG testing. So these are all, if somebody is suspecting that they have thyroid issues, this is everything that can be measured to dig deeper to see if we have a issue or not. So what are the 3 hacks that I was talking about when it comes to making sure our thyroid gland is working optimally? Well, toxins are huge. And, in my book, Hack Your Health Habits, I have literally an entire section on toxins that we're bombarded with in our foods, with our cosmetic, everything basically that surrounds us in our environment. So it's been shown that some of the toxins have a much bigger impact on the thyroid gland than others. PCBs being one of them, polychlorinated biphenyl, and they are basically found in our environment. It can be in plastic, in pesticide, and they stay, unfortunately, in our environment for a long time. So they're, often around us longer than we would like to. The PBDEs as well, which are the polybromine diphenyl ester, and those are flame retardants. So again, we're finding those, in your sofa, in your bed, and obviously we don't want things to set on fire, but there is a cost to use those toxin. BPA, which I think a lot of people are now aware of this, because of the water bottle. So awareness is greater there. Triclosan as well, which is used in all the hand soap, the antibacterial. So we're constantly, being antimicrobial in our approach to try to kill the bugs, but again, to a certain cost, because those toxins can really affect our thyroid gland. Organochlorine, pesticide, and dioxin as well. And dioxin, again, are unfortunately in our environment a lot, and in our food, we will find them often in our meats and dairy product, because they basically are being ingested and absorbed by the animal. So not always easy to avoid all of those toxins, but we have to do our best to do so. Hack number 2, excuse me here, take a bit of water here. And when I do that, I'm going to look at the comments. So hi, Heather. Hi, Christine. Yeah, all right. So nice to see you guys. Good. Excellent. Hack number 2, avoid iodine blockers. And those are the calcium carbonate that we consume often in great numbers. Soy, which I am personally not a huge fan of soy because of the fact that it's oftentimes genetically modified. But when people have issues with their thyroid gland, the soy can have a negative effect on stimulating the gland. Coffee, which, let's face it, we have a lot of caffeine and coffee going on here, so it'd be a good idea to look at our coffee consumption. Aluminum antacid, again, something that the population consume a lot of antacids in their current life. Ferrous sulfate, and possibly grapefruit juices as well. And you might have heard in many places that grape juice can impact liver function. And as we know now, is the liver is a big component of converting that T4 to that active hormone of T3. So that is hack number 2. Hack number 3, I wrote down some supplement here again, but I am not suggesting that if you think you have hyper or hypothyroidism that you just go on and start using those supplements. I didn't even talk about the amount either, because again, you truly have to get tested, see what your levels are. Our acid organic test will give you mineral and vitamins, and different nutrition evaluation will tell you if you're deficient. But those supplements would be iron, zinc, selenium, and vitamin D. And iodine, you have to be careful, because if you have an autoimmune disease, you just don't want to start taking iodine. So again, so important that you get a proper diagnosis. Vitamin D, it is January, and I myself live in Ottawa, and we are not getting a lot of sun. So I strongly suggest for people that don't live where there's a lot of sun, especially in the winter, to get your level tested right after the summer, because technically you should have replenished your vitamin D. And you really want to know your levels, because if you're already deficient, coming into the winter, you might need to do more than the recommended 1 international unit. But to do so, and before you do so, you need to make sure that you are getting your levels tested. The levels range from 80 to 200 for optimal. So you can see how there's a wide range here. So you want to aim to be probably more in the 120 starting the winter, because you're not going to get that vitamin D from the sun as well. Other supplement to consider: L-tyrosine, ashwagandha, which is a herb that can help increase T4 production, also helps for the adrenal gland. Commiphora can enhance the conversion of T4 to T3. Goggle extract, vitamin B5, and a good multivitamin to at least know that you're getting a diversity of those minerals and vitamins. But like I said, they are in, just the basic, and you might be deficient in other supplement as well. So as you can see, this little gland orchestrates a lot of function in our body, and we need to really look at our environment to make sure that we're supporting the function of this gland, because as you saw, it was, the level of toxicity can really affect our thyroid gland. So let alone, cleaning up our diet to make sure that we're not ingesting things that are disturbing the balance of these hormones, but also looking at our environment to make sure that we are minimizing our toxin. And that goes for pretty much everything that is going on with our body, but even more so for the thyroid gland, because it is very sensitive to that. So the other thing that, before I forget, if you would like, I talked about the book briefly, but if you would like to get your hands on the book, it's available on Amazon and multiple online platforms, as well as a lot of different bookstores throughout North America. And if you want to get the first section of the book, it is easy to do so by texting the word hack to the phone number 716-203-1356, and you will get access to the first section of the book, and also the outline of the book. So you can see that there is 12 different sections. Like I said, I touch a lot in the book on detox and making us aware of what we are using, especially, I shouldn't say especially for women, but I will say that because of all the beauty products that women are putting on themselves, I think we're having a even greater toxic load on our body because of what is expected of us in terms of the way that we should look and smell and all of that stuff. So it is truly important to navigate every product that the information of every product that we consume, that we buy. And I know it's a lot of work, and a lot of time people say, oh my God, Nathalie, like should we go live in the forest and or go hide in a cotton balls, so we're not exposed to all that? And this is not a reality, but I think we really have to pay extra attention to that. So today my presentation was all about thyroid health, and I'm going to say it one more time: please do not self-diagnose yourself. If you are experiencing some of those symptoms, you may have some issues with your thyroid. Consult your healthcare provider so you can get a proper diagnosis, and then really look at your lifestyle to minimize your toxic load. So next week I will have a guest, and it's a friend of mine who is also from Ottawa. Her name is Sarah Roberts, and we are going to discuss addictions with Sarah. She's going to tell us a little bit more about her journey, and we're going to talk about addictions in terms of sugar, but also alcohol. So Sarah is a great person, very resourceful, and is very energetic. And I really think that you are going to like her a lot. I'm sure it will be very interesting. In the meantime, I wish you a great week, and make sure to tune in for the next podcast next week, same time, Fridays at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time. So thank you and have a fabulous week. I will see you next week. I'm Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, and this is What the Heck, the podcast that dives into what the heck is going on in the world of health and well-being, explores how to optimize your mindset and your lifestyle, and shares practical tools so that you can achieve your fullest potential. Join me and a special guest each week as we discuss everything from biohacking to diet personalization to cutting-edge detox methods to setting and staying accountable to your goals. Ready to find out what the heck you can do to stay healthy, sharp, and at the top of your game? Let's get started. This has been a Wellness on the Go production.